Make real change. Make change real. The process is beautiful. Empower your mentality to make real change in the world. This is Coach King. Um, I know we've been talking about the idea of change, and I'm talking about this aspect of innovation. Innovation is creating new ideas, and it helps increase your productivity. Innovators are basically creatives, and you're expressing your godliness here on earth being a creator. God is the creator, and he created creatives in his image. So now we are creative individuals, and an aspect of innovation is heavily predicated on your ability to create something out of nothing, something out of the resources that you have. So that's just a very, very, very brief synopsis of the previous video. Please go back, read it. Let me not read it, watch it, and put comments in the section below. But today, right now, if you're watching, we're going to talk about the first characteristic of an innovator, and that is having the ability to take risks. This is risky business, okay? Innovation is risky business, okay? But in order to be an innovator, you have to be willing to take risks. Think about those famous inventors and the risks that they took. If you ever want to just kind of look at a great documentary, look at Tesla. Look at Tesla. Okay, Elon Musk exploited it lately, but Tesla was willing to take risks. The original inventor was willing to take risks. Okay, scientists are people that take risks, but they are also innovators. Okay, if you have proprietary information, you have to take that risk. Okay, so we have to learn to take risks. Okay, taking risks is learning how to and be willing to take risks. Risk is a situation involving exposure. So being willing to expose yourself, okay, being willing to accept some type of danger in your life, being willing to take on a little bit of harm, right, or loss. And this is most important, because if you're going to be an innovator, you have to be okay with that. It's about not being afraid of being exposed. Okay. So when you think about a person who is taking risks, who do you think of? Who do you think of? Who do you think of? You might think of Evel Knievel. I know I do. I think of Evel Knievel. I think of the dirt bike going over school buses through a ring of fire. I'm exposed. I'm out here. I'm taking a risk. Look at skydivers, people who jump out of planes. They take major risks. Think about the guys who go skiing down steep hills and mountains, and they put their GoPro on. Red Bull has a whole initiative of people that take risks. The lethal shooter risks all of his basketballs shooting it through a spiked rim. Okay. It's an innovative way of doing things. He's being creative. He's expressing his godlikeness by willing to take the risk and put it on camera. And then we as consumers, we eat this thing up. Right. So innovators, Tesla, he lit up all of Times Square with a light show. It was like, oh my goodness. Okay. Risking burning half the city down if it goes wrong. Think about people, SpaceX putting spaceships in the air, risking lives. NASA, think of that. Being able to, innovation has its risk. Look at the airplanes, God forbid, everything that has happened recently, right? That's risk taking. Our innovations in our lives, the things that we have created, assume risk. They assume exposure. But when it works correctly, the innovation, the idea, the thing that we created is a success. So you have to be willing to take risks in this time of change that we have. Okay. So taking risk is an important part of your personal growth. Okay. It can lead to new opportunities and experiences. Taking risks forces us to step outside of a comfort zone. Okay. It's important for us. Remember the aspect of change. We talk about growth. And we're getting a little bit in the development aspect of the idea. But however, you can't grow in comfort. We all know that. That's just not how that works. Think about the growing pains when you're a kid. I've used this analogy before. When you grow, that hurts. Growth hurts. When you're in the gym and you're trying to put muscle on, your muscles are sore. You're breaking something down and literally to rebuild it stronger and reinforcing it. That's just how this works. Okay. So here's the thing. When you remain in your own comfort zones, you remain in misconceptions. I'll say that again. When you remain in your comfort zone, you remain in misconception. Comfort zones keep you in a state of faulty belief. It keeps you in a state of faulty thinking, and it keeps you in a state where you have faulty understanding, where you do not have any understanding. Okay? Because comfort zones give you a false impression of ideas. You get the wrong idea when you stay in a comfort zone. Comfort zones kill growth. Okay? So, however, taking risks leads to conception. Okay? And conception ultimately leads to life. Okay? Taking risk often requires you to begin forming and devising new plans or ideas. So when you take a risk, you automatically have to formulate a new idea, because a risk is something that exposes you to go outside of your comfort zone, right? And when you're outside of this comfort zone, you're left with nothing left to do but to create something, to make it happen, right? To use your God-given ability to push something, to innovate, to take what's around you and create something. So you cannot be afraid. There cannot be any fear, because God did not give us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and of a sound mind. So you were created to take risks. Okay? So when new plans and ideas are formulated, you're ready to launch. It's like a rocket going off. So once the new plan or the idea has happened, look at SpaceX that just launched something, right? Look at all of the Apollo missions. They made plans before they even put the rocket in the air, right? They had calculations. They formulated a calculation. They had a trajectory of where they wanted to send this thing, okay? And once they were ready with that, they finalized their plans. They finalized their calculations. They put all the jet in the engine, right? I mean, all of the fuel in the engine or the jet. And they put it on this launching pad and they counted down. 3, 2, 1. We're ready for liftoff. Okay. And they launched. And the purpose of this launch was for us to learn more about our universe. So without being willing to take a risk of putting something in the air, okay, we would never learn anything about our universe. So launching is a way we take a risk and become the innovator that God has called us to be. The first step in us learning how to take more risks, here we go, is to identify our fears. So the first thing, my first point here, this is coaching. Identify your fear. What is keeping you? What is holding you back? Think about why you're not innovating. What are your fears? And fears are real, okay? They feel real to you. But you never know unless you do some discovery. You have to understand that, hey, Moses was like, hey, God, I don't speak well. I'm afraid that I'm going to stutter too much. So God provided him Aaron. What are your fears? Gideon had disbelief. Okay. He needed to know. He needed certainty. His fear was unknowing, that he didn't know. What are your fears? What is that thing that's keeping you from taking the risk, from jumping off the waterfall, from jumping into off the cliff? Okay. What is the fear? The fear of dying and not, and all of that. The fear of hitting a rock. What's keeping you back? Okay. What's keeping you from writing your book, from starting the business, from having the baby, trying to have the baby? What's keeping you? What's keeping you from finding that person for you? What's keeping you from dating? What's keeping you from the woman or the man that God wants for you, the suitable partner, from making the choice or the decision to say, hey, I'm ready? What's keeping us back? What's holding us back? What's the fear? The fear can be divorce. I've seen my parents broke up. I've seen separation. I've seen marriages not work. I've seen all of these things. What is holding us back from creating? What's holding us back? It's our inability to take these risks. So first, identify your fear, because you can't allow fear to keep you from your destiny. Okay. One way or another, we know that God is going to push us to that destiny, whether it takes us 40 years, whether we die there in a generation, then takes on this promise. It's a theme. It's something that God created for humanity. He has a call on your life. He has a destiny for you. Do you want to live to see it, or do you want your generation to have to take on to it? I know I want to see what God has for me during my lifetime. My limited 120 years here on this earth, I've already lived a quarter of it, plus some change. So I know that in my life, I want to see those things manifested, and I want to do it now. I don't want to wait. So I have to be willing to take that risk in order to see those things come into fruition. Okay. So you cannot let fear keep you from your destiny. Fear will paralyze any opportunity that is before you. Okay. It handicaps you, not only your potential, but it denies others the freedom to benefit from what you are producing. In other words, imagine having a cure for cancer and never sharing it because you were afraid that it'll hinder people from having, if you shared it, you allow fear from keeping those who are in need. Right. So imagine having the cure for cancer and then like not sharing it. Oh, I got the cure, but I ain't gonna share it with nobody. Imagine all of the people that are impacted because you decide you don't want to share the cure because whatever reason, you don't want to take the risk. I want the credit. I don't want anybody to take credit for my ideas. I don't want the proprietary information about the cure for cancer to be stolen from me. But you have the cure to save the world from a disease that kills. And yet and still you keep that to yourself because you're being selfish, or because the fear of missing out, FOMO. You're missing out on this opportunity because you have fear, but yet and still you have the answer. Isn't that catastrophic? Think about that. Think about everything that you've thought of and you haven't taken a risk on. Think about when you were in high school and you saw the girl of your dreams and you're like, man, I wanted to. And then you think about it, you missed out on that. You're like, man, I should have hollered at home girl. Man, she was good looking. You know what I mean? Think about on the flip side. Girl, that man is something else. And you don't say a word to him. You never took the risk to even say hello. You never took the risk to even show any type of interest in this person. Okay. Think of it even at a minute relationship. You never took the chance to get to know your boss. You never took the chance to email the CEO. You never took the chance to go to the mayor's office and make a claim that could change the lives of thousands, hundreds of thousands, even millions of people because you decide to take the risk and stand up. Look at Ruth in the Bible. She took the risk. She expressed her faith and went before the king. And it saved her people. and ultimately led to the path of Jesus being here on this earth. So we have to get over this fear. So think about the latest COVID-19 vaccination or even the past polio vaccination. What would our lives be like if scientists were too afraid to take risks on human trials or even animal trials? I'm pretty sure that the scientists understood the risk they were taking. The people that were working on this vaccination with the spike protein, they understood the risks. However, when you think about that, they identified fear and they said, listen, too many people are dying. We have to take this risk and we have to launch this thing. Moderna had to do it, right? And they had to just say, hey, military, get out here and start sticking people with this stuff. And let's build this immunity to this killer. Let's build some immunities. Let's put this thing out there. Polio vaccines. Think about that. TB, tuberculosis, was taking people out. If it wasn't for someone taking a risk, we would not have the health that we have today or the immunities that we have today. Now, some people may argue that it's natural selection. However, the purpose is the principle of what I'm trying to say. Had not people taking risk, we would not have this innovation, this new life for society that we have today. I'm not going to sit and argue with anybody who's willing to try to argue that just for the sake of arguing. No, it's the principle. It's what I'm saying. Take the risk. Even arguing or debating with me is a risk that you take because I'm not doing it. Okay. So having that intimate fear visible to the public it creates an informed decision on whether it's worth the risk. I'll say that again. Having intimate fear visible. So not hiding from it, identifying what your fears are. What are your barriers? So don't sit in hiding. Don't hide your fear from anyone. Okay. When you are willing to take a risk, say, hey, I'm scared, but I'm going to do this anyway, because it creates an informed decision of what you're getting ready to do. Hey, this could kill me. Serving Christ could kill me. Could kill me. I'm called to ministry, but yet and still I'm a CEO right now. I'm making millions, but I'm called to a ministry where I won't have that anymore. But I understand the fear of losing what I had. Okay? We have to identify what our fears are. The fear of jumping off the cliff. I'm just scared of heights. Lord Jesus. But the building's on fire. I need to get out. I have a parachute. I have everything I need. I'm scared of heights. And the building's on fire. Do I want to die here or do I want to die trying to get out and save my life? What is most important? Do I just want to die without even taking the risk of jumping? What is it? Here's another tip. Taking risks and overcoming fear is to write down your fears. So identify it first, then write it down. Writing something down makes it realistic. Say, hey, now I see what it is. And here's the coaching technique. If you see your fear, you can crumple it up and throw it away. It disappears. It's a weird tactic. It's something where you're taking something, you're saying, hey, I don't want to do this because X, Y, Z, and you write it down. And when you write it down, you'll see this fear and be like, man, that's hefty. I'm afraid to go on a date again because I've been divorced. I'm afraid that this person will do the exact same thing. I'm afraid that the man will abandon me. I'm afraid of getting pregnant. I'm afraid that I will slip and fall into sin. I'm afraid that I will XYZ. I'm afraid that my manager will fire me. I'm afraid of being out here and exposed and slipping up during a speech. I'm afraid that the public will not receive what it is that I'm saying. I'm afraid. Write it down. There is an incredible amount of power that comes to us when we write it in words and see it on a piece of paper. Remember to put it in a place where you can see it. Put it on your wall. Tiger Woods used to put everything that people said about him down on the wall. And as he accomplished it, he crossed it off. He put everything on the wall. He made it visible to the eye, to his own eye. And I challenge everybody. If you're this bold, put it on video and camera. This is a digital market. If you're bold to put your fears out there, put it on camera. Put it in a journal. Okay? Communication with yourself has been a tool used by a lot of public speakers. It builds charisma. I'm doing it right now. It builds confidence in yourself, right? It builds, when you hear your own voice, it builds something inside of you. Because faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. Okay? So you're building faith in yourself by writing something down, seeing it, but not only that, speaking and communicating with yourself. Reflection is godly. The fear of public speaking or speaking in public may never truly go away, but it becomes more manageable with constant practice and preparation. So the more you say this what you want, the more you speak it, you gain the confidence and you make it more manageable, which is part of the A in the idea formula. So you learn to manage it. The more you practice it, the more you speak it, the better you become. But not only that, it's not comfort. You've been willing to take the risk to actually speak out your fear, which is difficult to do, but it's freedom on the end of that. And remember, you're not crazy if you speak to yourself. You're not crazy when you journal. You're not crazy with identifying your fears, writing them down, reframing these fears that you have. No, I'm not afraid of being pregnant. I'm not afraid of dating again. I'm not afraid of a divorce. I'm not afraid to try. I'm not afraid to go forward. I'm not afraid to go backwards. I'm not afraid to jump off the cliff. I'm not afraid to be the man that God has called me to be. I'm not afraid anymore. I'm not afraid to go back to school and get my PhD. I'm not afraid anymore. And you have to say that to yourself, but practice it so you build confidence in yourself. If you need to, hear your own voice, record this thing, hear your own heart. It's something that happens when you listen to this and it puts it back into your remembrance of who you are, because God did not give us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and of a sound mind. So remember that you were created to not fear. Your goals will force you to take some level of risk, whether it be a social, physical, emotional, financial, or relational. It's a very important step to set goals. Now, people argue, you don't need goals. I get it, Myron. Sorry. But in this case, I'm going to teach you to have a vision. Have something in a place that you want to go. The goal is not actually sitting, hey, I'm going to plan a goal. I'm going to set it. No, set the vision of what you want. What it is that you're desiring, set that goal. Try a new hobby to get to that goal. Open a business to get you to that goal, depending on what that is. The process that you go through is scary. The goal, set the big goal first. What is the purpose of what it is that you were here for? Look inside yourself and say, hey, this is how I want to be known. This is the legacy that I want to be left. Set that goal. That's what I mean by goal setting. Set something bigger than you. Set something that's big. And in the process, learn a new hobby. Do something that's passionate towards that overall thing that you're setting, right? That you're setting for yourself, the vision that you have for yourself, the vision you have for your life. If you want to live a lavish lifestyle and travel, well, hey, what hobbies can I create that can get me to this goal of traveling the world? There's people that are doing it. There's examples all over. We're here to look at other people, not to be them, but to get an inspiration from them or inspo. So don't have any fear with that process itself. Now, it will require you to change something about yourself or change something about your life. It will require you to look at what those barriers are. So remember, identify the fear. Because sometimes the fear is not just fear, it's a barrier in your life. It's holding you back. But remember, that fear, you can't allow it to bind you to what was and keep you from your future, because fear will bind you. It'll keep you from making the change. It'll keep you from the growth. It'll keep you from educating yourself and learning. It'll keep you from being able to manage. Fear cripples and paralyzes you, and it keeps you from changing. For example, in this today's market, people are afraid to buy houses. We're paying too much for them. Interest rates are too high. The fear, I'll have to work 60 years to pay this house off. I'll never get my dream home. That's how we feel generationally. Those of you who bought houses, God bless you. Those of you, us that are in apartments, God bless you. But that risk, buying a house, we have to take advantage of what houses bring. So we have to figure out how we can work with this market in real estate. What is it that we need? Can you offer us anything that helps us afford homes, right? Because home ownership has a tremendous amount of equity associated with it. And it adds to your assets and ultimately your net worth. That makes important. You have to have having a home is an important accomplishment in your life. Buying a house is a big step for your future, for legacy. Being a landowner is important for legacy and building wealth here. Okay. The idea that is inside of you requires you to change positively for your future success. Don't leap until you've taken small steps. Okay. Don't leap. Don't take the risk until you've taken smaller steps. Okay. This will help you build your confidence. Remember practicing. This also prepares you for the bigger risk, the bigger leaps. The bigger leaps. Start with something small, like trying a new food, or, for example, if you want to start a business, just start researching it. Go get the LLC. You know, because getting an LLC is just paying money and putting a name out there that is yours, and that's it. You don't have to make sales or anything like that. You just put the LLC together. It's really that simple. Okay, pay the money, create the LLC. First step. Okay. But it's preparing you to take bigger risk, like asking for funding. Now you got to put your business out there and put it on the line. And then once you get the funding, now it's a bigger risk, because now you have to hire employees. You may have to quit your job to get what it is that you agreed to done, right? Because now you have funding. Your whole world flips upside down, which is a bigger risk. But you're being exposed. Remember, risk is not about dying. It's about exposure. I hope you are hearing this. Start with something small, okay? When you decide to take the big jump, don't trust yourself, trust God. I asked our apostle of the house, I said, I had a dream. I was at a river and there were rocks, smooth rocks, slippery. I was just standing there. But I watched this man jump from rock to rock gracefully. It bothered me. And he did it all with a smile on his face. Me, it scared me because I wasn't sure. I was uncertain. I was dealing with this aspect of change called uncertainty because I wasn't willing. And then when I saw him, he jumped one rock to the next, didn't fall gracefully. And then he looked at me, turned around, and he jumped backwards with a smile on his face right off the cliff. It baffled me. I said, how in the world is somebody able to do such things? How in the world do you have that much contentment with every step that you're taking? He jumped from rock to rock, taking one small step, and then he took the big jump. Now, if you ever have Dr. Martin's testimony, if you ever heard it, it'll bless your life. And when I asked him that, he's like, I trust God. And ultimately, now he trusts himself. This can help you with building your confidence, right? You have to build the confidence required during the growth and development aspect of change. I have found it reduces the anxiety that I have taken when I take risks, okay? Trusting God, but ultimately, trust yourself. Here's another way to look at it. Don't trust yourself. Just trust God. If God tells you to do something in faith, don't trust your instincts, your flesh. Don't trust the fear. That's what I'm saying. Don't trust the fear that you have. Trust God and what he said. Don't trust the fear. And what that does is it takes the anxiety away, because if he dresses the lilies with beauty and splendor, how much more will he clothe you? So why worry of what you're going to eat or drink, right? The Bible says that. So when you trust in the Creator, Adonai, the owner, if he created me, I know he has plans for me, not to harm me, right? But to prosper me. So if he said it, I believe it, and I take the jump. It's that simple. That's how he did it. And I challenge you all, no matter what your belief is, to take the risk, but to take small steps first. Because what it does is it builds your faith in a progression. I'm not asking you to jump off the cliff now, but I'm asking you to jump from rock to rock. Taking risks leaves room for failure. Failure is going to happen. You're going to fail. You're going to fail. It's bound. At some point, you will fail. You will fail at it. You're not going to be a success. Remember, but failure, it's okay. It's a natural part of being exposed. Now, what's funny is that some people think that their failure publicly means you've lost the battle, or you've lost the war, or you've lost, you're not successful, but that's not true. Failure should not discourage you. It's a learning opportunity. It's an opportunity to know what it feels like to miss a mark, to not achieve what it is that you're trying to accomplish, right? The idea is to learn from it and move forward. Analyze what went wrong. So think about what happened, what went wrong. You have to think from an adaptive standpoint. Take your mind, adapt, move on, okay, and improve for future efforts. So here's the thing. When something like that happens to you again, the equipment breaks down. You're in a public speech and your PowerPoint doesn't work. Oh, I failed. No. Right? That was a disaster. That's not the way I wanted it to go. So we feel like failures. We feel like that's a fail, and it's not. That type of stuff happens. It's how you respond to this ordeal that's the most important. The equipment's going to break. You're going to stutter. You're going to make a mistake. You're not going to say the right thing. You're not going to say what's on your prompt. You're going to go off script at some point. But you didn't fail. Don't think for 1 minute that you failed. Failure is not the equation. That's not failure. We think that's failing. Okay? We think that even though nobody shows up, you failed. That's not true. The truth is that you tried, you actually did something, you took that risk, and that risk was a success in itself. The fact that you were willing to be here right now, listening to me talk about risking, this risky business, okay, that is a success for me. If one person listens to this, that is a success. I may not get 1 million views. I may not get 1,000. I may not even have 100. I want all 29 of y'all listening. Subscribe to my channel. That is a success. That's not a failure. So I do it for y'all. I do it for the legacy. I do it because this is what I believe. And I believe it's going to help people. And whoever is willing to listen, it's to help you. So take the risk. Remember that you will fail. You feel like you're failing, right? But it's okay. It's a natural part of taking the risk. So you miss the shot when you shoot. Fail. When you make it, though, you hit that boy, right? And you learn. You learn how to do it. You take the small steps. You take the next, you risk it again. All right, 50-50, boy. We sitting in there. That's why I love basketball, because it's all risk. It's a risky game. You can risk long threes that lead to transition points, right? If you ain't got no rebounder in the middle. Even if you do, long threes, guards take that and they push the ball and they knock a three down on the other end. Golden State Warriors with KD was notorious for that, making you pay on your misses. You couldn't miss with them because they shot so efficiently. It's crazy. When a team is shooting above 50%, their risk is higher. Probability that they're going to make a shot. Yeah, good luck. Good night. I remember watching the Spurs shoot 70% against LeBron in Cleveland in the NBA Finals one year. I was like, wow, nobody's beating San Antonio this year. Not happening. LeBron had cramps up in the gym. They had it too hot up in there. He was cramping up. They were shooting lights out. I ain't never seen no team shoot 60+% from the field. Crazy. Tony Parker, Tim Duncan, all of them were eating them up. Monty Ginobili eating them up. They could not miss. It was green lights on 2K all day. I'm like, how can you beat a team who is executing at that level of risk? You can't. Did LeBron fail? No, he showed up. He gave it all he had. They were shooting 40, they were shooting 67. What do you expect? You ain't gonna win no game like that. You can't win. They're dialed in. You can't win that. Sorry, not gonna win that game. Remember, when you're taking risks or in the middle of a risky situation, surround yourself with people who encourage you to take the risk that you're taking, and people who will support you. Because you're gonna have people that be like, man, that wouldn't be me. And that person, you need to leave them alone. They're not even, you have to put people who support your risks. Okay. Another coaching tip, mind your friends. Mind your friends. Put yourself and surround yourself with people who have either been there, who have the experience. If you can find someone who's doing what you're doing and sit under them and understand how they move and operate, that is a blessing. But if you have friends and you're doing uncharted territory risks, right? You're trying to innovate. You're trying to be the next Tesla. You're trying to be the next Alexander Graham Bell. You're trying to innovate or create something that's never been done before. You need to surround yourself with people who believe in that. When you're trying to start something that's never been done, you need to put yourself around people who are pioneer supporters. People that will help you build, people that support you, people who push you to that next level, people that will get you there, people who see your vision for you and believe even when you stop believing, and they help build you back up. That's the level of support that you're looking for in that time when you're trying to create and innovate something new. When you're getting started from the beginning, you need support. God created everything. He created Adam and man. Everything had its own pair. But when he saw that Adam didn't, he created a relationship for him that was suitable, that was just right. So you need somebody to help you in your risk time. Even God said, let us make man in our image and likeness. If you look at that, relationships are so important. Even the risk that God took on us needed in us. Okay? That's a principle. You need people. Hospitals don't run without doctors. Hospitals don't run without the cleaning crew. EVS is the most important crew in the hospital because who do you think is cleaning the rooms? Who do you think is cleaning the facility? When we need a bed for you to be admitted, who do you think cleans that bedroom? It's our environmental services. They have the cleaning equipment to get rid of what was in there previously. If somebody had Ebola in the room, you don't want to go in there and get Ebola. So we have to have it up to a code or standard before you even get up in there. Think about it. Everything needs each other. We are of one body, one spirit. Go back and look at adaptation, the idea of adaptation. Okay. Look at that. The aspect of adaptability. We all need each other, especially when you're looking to create something. Lastly, taking risks involves a level of uncertainty, but we have to embrace it. Learn to embrace the uncertainty is my next one. Okay. You have to be comfortable with taking risk. Not just comfortable, but you have to learn how to find comfort in taking the risk. Okay. It doesn't mean, when I say take a risk, that doesn't mean go out here and roll the window down and ghost ride the whip. That's not the risk I'm talking about here. That's just stupidity. Okay. Doesn't mean that, I'm going to take the risk. I'm just going to jump off the cliff. No, put purpose behind it. Okay. That's not being creative. That's being dumb. And I'm not saying be dumb. I'm not saying be reckless about the risk that you're taking. Don't just be desperate and sleep with whoever and then marry some woman or whatever because you're ready to get married. No. Take a calculated risk. Remember, take the small steps. That's dating, and do the process. Okay. But when you have to make that ultimate decision to take the yes, you have practiced enough dating with that person that now you say, yeah, that's a suitable partner for me. Yes. We're in the garden together. We have plowed equally together. I see you. I know that you are the one because I see what we can build together. We've already built XYZ. Let's continue this for a lifetime because I'm happy with you, right? Don't engage in a harmful risk, right? Don't take these risks where you're trying to create or innovate something and you're just slapping something together. No, you have to have a plan, right? Even God says, I know the plans I have for you, right? So don't be afraid to plan. Planning is divine, okay? So when you take a risk, plan for it. Don't just take it just to take it for this because I'm telling you take a risk. No, you're not an innovator if you don't plan. Go back to the beginning of this video. Plan it. Don't just go and take a risk. Plan the risk that you're willing to expose yourself to. I'm willing to take this risk because I've identified my fear. I know that if I do this, then I will have to deal with XYZ. And because God did not give me a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind, the ability to do something, be able to make a decision, and to love what it is that I'm doing. Love is long suffering. What is love? God is in it. He backs it and he engages with us in this situation as long as we keep him in the middle of it. So don't engage in harmful risks because he didn't plan that for you. Don't hurt anybody around you, like your friends that are supporting you. That's how you lose friends real quick. Being reckless. Being the person that's drunk all the time and throwing up all over the place. You think people want to take care of you because you don't know how to control yourself? No. That's how you lose friends and credibility very quickly with people. Even the people taking care of you. Some depend on the situation, right? Well, how much did you have to drink? I had a beer. I don't really drink much. Oh, okay. I understand, right? But that person that's constantly practicing risky behavior, just recklessly, because they know, oh, Joe's got my back, and you take advantage of your friends. No. That's not what I'm talking about, because you're hurting those around you because you're taking risks that are unnecessary. You're not planning it. You're just recklessly doing things. Okay. It's important to assess all of the potential risks and the benefits of any decision you have before making that choice. This process will take time to master. We all. It takes time because you think about the risks that you took when you were a child. You didn't know why you were doing things, right? You get in your teenage years, you just do them. Oh, I'm going to just jump. And you have no purpose. You don't know why. But as you become adult and the level of responsibility becomes greater, now you understand the value of planning and calculating your risks, right? Understanding that if you do this, this will happen because you had the experience as a child. Or you had some really great parents that just were there to like lead, guide, and direct you, or you had a supportive community that helps, right? Going back to that community part where you learned how to plan your risks and what risks are healthy. Okay. But it takes practice and patience, and you become more comfortable. It also takes experiences. Okay. And it makes you more comfortable with taking the risks, and it opened up new opportunities for you for personal growth and your development. So remember those things. Okay. This is risky business. And remember, make real change. Make change real. The process is beautiful. Empower your mentality, make real change in the world. This is Coach King. And remember, it's okay, but this is a risky business. Business requires planning and a calculated risk. Trusting yourself, trusting God, leaning on God's trust. Okay? Trusting in God. He's faithful enough. Okay? You have to have faith in him if you're willing to take that risk. But remember, write your risk down, make it real to you. Reframe that fear that you may be having. Look at the barriers and assess those things, because those barriers are what's holding you down from achieving your vision for your life and reaching the destiny and ultimately the plan that God has for you and that you're called to go to. Whether it be business, whether to be a husband, whether it be to a wife, whether it be to be a father, don't let fear stop you from doing it. Okay? Be willing to take a risk because this is risky business. Okay? All right. I hope this helped somebody today. Thank you guys for listening. More to come. We'll be talking about exploration. The next characteristic is you have to be willing to explore. Okay? All right. Remember, make real change, make change real. The process is beautiful. Empower your mentality, make real change in the world. This is Coach King. Peace out.